Hello everyone. So as the video thumbnail suggests that we are going to use a shared NAT gateway. Or we are going to share the same NAT gateway from one VPC and we're going to achieve the same NAT gateway to the multiple VPCs. So this generally comes into picture because when we try to usually go with the landing zone concepts in Amazon, so AWS landing zone, and here if you just see the diagram, so here you're going to have the certain common accounts in Amazon, so to manage the things, and out of that, so then network is one of the one shared accounts, and network is a very important thing. And so assume that you take a product, and that particular product has multiple environments like dev account or QA account or production account, like that. So you're going to have multiple accounts, and so for each and every account you cannot go with a separate NAT gateway. So ultimately the enterprise, we are going to control with a single NAT gateway the internet to the multiple VPCs. So that is one reason, so which we require this kind of an approach. And the second thing is, so if you can also replace the same approach, can be replaced with some other component which can share the internet. So maybe an enterprise organization want to still so filter the traffic from their on-premise, so which is connected over directory connect or something like that. So that is also possible. So if there are some kind of a proxy servers which is actually proxying the internet, controls the internet, so what to be accessed by the machines. So generally it might come from on-premise also. If it is already established organization, generally you'll have it on the on-premise, so that particular devices also can be attached to this particular approach, and even those also can be used as a part of the approach whatever we're taking. So in general, just to conclude, so the landing zone approaches, we are going to use a shared internet services. So that's where we're trying to achieve a single NAT gateway from single NAT gateway from one VPC. We're going to go with multiple VPCs, like as I mentioned. So it cannot, the NAT gateway we're taking it because there is a default one which is available in Amazon, and whereas it can be overridden by so your own devices or the own services whatever we offer as a part of the proxy services, or how do you proxy the internet, okay, so in the organization. So let's get into the approach. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with three VPCs. By the way, I'm going to create total three VPCs. The first VPC I'm going to call it as this is the VPC I'm going to have the NAT gateway, so that's where I'm called as NAT gateway VPC. And apart from this, I'm going to create two other VPCs, so which I'm going to call it as maybe, so this I'm going to call it as the dev environment, so maybe the dev VPC I'll call it as. And so here the same way I'll be having a production VPC. Maybe I can take another VPC, so which I can call it as production. Okay, so here I'm going to say it as prod VPC. And so the three VPCs I'm going to create. So the network range I'm going to choose over here. So this I'm going to choose 192.168. So 0.0 by 24. And whereas for this one, so I might choose, by the way, which is, let's say, 10 dot, so with the 10 series, I can take it up, or maybe you can just go with 192 series itself, but that's okay. Let's make it 10 series. So 10 dot, 0.0 by the 24. And so in the prod VPC, maybe I can go with another range. So 10.20.0.0 by either you can go for 24, or I'll choose a 16 range, by the way, so a bigger size of VPC. So these are the three VPCs I want to create. So now let me go to the Amazon console and quickly create those particular three VPCs. So which I'm going to call it as NGW-VPC. This is 192.168.0.0 by 24, and I'm going to get a VPC. And so the same way I would be going with another VPCs, so which is so dev-VPC, and it's going to be 10.10.0.0 by 16. And and I go with the create VPC, so which is prod-VPC, so which is 10.20.0.0 by 16. Okay, so create a VPC. So the three VPCs are ready. Now ultimately, so since the VPCs are ready, so you cannot just consume them, so you cannot create the servers on the just on the EC2 side. So you need to still have something else here. So that's where I would like to come here, and I'm going to configure so a subnet here, so which I'm going to call it as a public subnet. So how I'm going to call this as a public subnet is because I'm going to attach a internet gateway. Okay, so I'm going to bring some internet gateway, and I'm going to put it here. So IGW So I'm going to take some internet gateway and attach to this. So that's where this becomes a public subnet, by the way. And this public subnet, so the range I'm going to make here is maybe half of this. So which I would like to take 192.168.0.0 by 25. Okay, this is the range I would like to take it up. And so yeah, I'm going to create a one subnet. And the same way, so I'm going to create a subnet over here as well. So here I'm going to call it as a, this is a, so these subnets are not going to get a internet gateway. So these are just private. So which is can be accessed only over your private network. So that's where this is a private subnet. And here also you're going to have a private subnet. And maybe, so I can choose a range here. So which is going to be is a 10.0 by 24. The first range I'll take it up. So maybe here I will pick it up the, so this one. Okay. So here are the things. So the three VPCs, I'm going to create three subnets here. So one I'm calling it as public subnet because I'm creating an internet gateway here. So now I'll just go here and internet gateway, and I'm going to create an internet gateway. So I'm going to call it as just IGW and create an internet gateway. And yeah, so this is a one, and attached to a VPC. So attached to a VPC. So this VPC, I would like to go with NGW VPC, and this internet gateway, I'll put it to the subnet what I'm creating. Okay, so create a subnet. So which I'm going to call it as NAT gateway, which I'm going to call it as public hyphen subnet, and maybe I'll be choosing east 1A, so which is 10.10.0.0 by 24. Okay, 10 dot, oh sorry, I'm using a, sorry, 192.168.0.0 by 25. So create the subnet. So one subnet is created. So let's go with the other subnet. So I'll go with the, the Dave VPC. So which I'm going to have is Dave hyphen private hyphen subnet. So which I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use here. So which is 10.0.0 by 24. I'm taking a small chunk, and also the create a subnet. So I will go with the prod as well, and the prod hyphen private hyphen subnet, and I'm going to choose 1A, so which is 10.20.0.0 by 24. So thus we have total three subnets here. So one is prod, private, and public. So this public subnet is going to be having a internet gateway. So that's where I'll go to the route table and add a new route table. So which I'm going to call it as this I'm going to call it as public hyphen RT route table, and this is for NAT gateway VPC, and create the particular VPC. And over here, so this I'm going to have a route, and I'm going to add a route. So saying 00 should go through internet gateway, and here is the internet gateway which is attached to the VPC. So I'll be choosing that. So I have this particular route. So that means if any machine I'm trying to create over here, so I will be able to access these particular machines, right? So first let's go to the EC2 and let's try to create some machine here. And I should be able to access that machine from the outside world because it's on the internet gateway. And at the same time, I'll be getting the internet from the internet as well. So let me go with the launch. And so I'll be taking an OS, which is this image. So I'll be going with the NAT gateway VPC, and I'll be choosing a public subnet. And here I want a public IP address also, auto assign public IP, so which is enabled. So this is a public subnet. This is a public subnet. Is a public subnet server. So that's where I'm naming it as the same thing. So I'm just going to allow port number 22 to outside world launch. And you don't require a key pair to connect to this particular instance, by the way. So that's where I'm picking it up. And there is a username and password. So the username is CentOS. The password is DevOps321. I can use these particular details. I can, connect to that particular server without a PEM file, okay, or without a PPK file, by the way. So let the machine come up, and so we will try to connect to that particular machine. So maybe the machine came to running. So I'll take this machine and I'll try to connect to this machine. So I'm still not getting it. So there may be the reason that I missed a mapping by the way here. I created a route table, so but I missed an option to associate a subnet. So edit the subnet associations. So the public subnet, whichever is created, I want to use this route table. So the route table is having the entry of this one. So maybe I'll reconnect once again. So yes, I'm getting a proper message. Maybe I'm getting a connection refused. So that means it's a good message that server is refusing it. So that means I made a contact with the server. So it's refusing it because the server is not ready with the asset service. So maybe after a minute, if I just give a try, I should be able to make a connection to the server. So I'm still getting the connection refused. So there you go. I'm able to log into that particular machine. So now ultimately, as I mentioned, so we are going to get the ping google.com. So you're going to get the google.com address, or you're going to get the internet, by the way. So the ping is basically okay. So which is fine. Now here, what I wanted, so what we have done here is we created one. We created one EC2 machine here. Okay, so we created one EC2 machine here, and we try to access that particular machine from the outside world. I'm able to connect because it is an internet gateway. Now the same thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an EC2 machine over here, and I want to access that particular machine. Okay, so let me go on the launch instance. So commit AMIs, so which is DevOps hyphen practice. So G2 micro is fine, and here I'm going to choose a Dev VPC, and here it is going to be private subnet. No public IP is needed here. So add storage and Dev VPC, and port 22 also I would like to open to everything. So, but everything is not needed. We can choose a particular VPC range, but that's okay. So this instance need to come up. The instance came to the running state, so we would like to just connect to that particular instance, and so nothing happens. Okay, why is nothing happening here is because there is, if you see the review the diagram, so there's no relation between these three things. Okay, so one thing what I have to do is I can go ahead and configure a peering connection between these two VPCs, and that's how I will be able to communicate. Okay, there's a first approach, but here we don't want to go with the VPC peering because VPC peering becomes a much complex thing. So that's where I would like to go with a transit gateway, so which is a much better way of dealing with the things. So I'm going to create something called as a TGW. Okay, so the transit gateway. So I would like to use this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one transit gateway first. In the very first place, I'm going to create one transit gateway, so to attach all these particular VPCs. Maybe after creating the transit gateway, so I will just go and connect all my devices to that. Yeah. So I would like to just connect all my VPCs also at the same time to that. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do, and here I would like to deal with this. So I would like to deal with this guy, or maybe go to this side, this side. Okay, so this is what I wanted to assume now. So now let's go and try to do this. So let me go ahead and create a transit gateway. So here on Amazon console VPC, on the left side, you have a transit gateway. So create a transit gateway, and this transit gateway, I'm calling it as TGW. Maybe I don't want to go with a default route table association and default route table propagation. So because I want to create my own route tables, so create it. So it just takes a minute to come. So let's wait for it. I can see the transit gateway so become available state. Now I would like to go with the transit gateway attachment. So I would like to go with all the attaching all the NGW-VPC. So this transit gateways, I would like to choose a VPC, NGW VPC. And here I'm going to get a public subnet, but that's okay for now. So just create a transit gateway. And so the next one is create this one. So which is so dev-VPC, by the way. And here the transit gateway, and the VPC ID is going to be the dev1, and so create a transit gateway, and create a transit gateway which is prod-VPC, so, which is this. It's going to be prod VPC, create a transit gateway. So there was three attachments which I had done. So three VPC attachments I had done. So let's wait for them to come up. Okay, in the meantime, okay, so this particular part is done. Now I'm going to create two route tables, by the way. So one route table on one route table here. So this is one route table, so which is on the side of which is on the side of your NAT gateway VPC, and at the same time I'm going to create another route table, so which is on the on this side, by the way. So these connections is bounded something to this. Okay, so this is another route table, so which I'm going to attach to the transit gateway. So this is one thing, and there is another thing. So this I'm going to call it as NGW route, and this is I'll call it as so maybe day prod something like that. Okay, so I'm going to create two route tables here in the meantime. So which I'm going to have a transit gateway route table, and so create a transit gateway route table. So here it is going to be NGW side route table. Okay, and this is a transit gateway, so create a route table, and so create a transit gateway, so which is VPC side so route table, and so here also it's going to be same thing. So that's where so two route tables you are creating, right? So let's wait for them. I think the transit gateways are available right now. Now, once the transit gateway route tables, this also comes to available. Yeah, those are available. Now, maybe the NGW side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate an association. So which association I want to associate? So there is a NGW VPC association we have done. So associate that. Okay, so that is done. And whereas coming to the VPC side route table, so I would like to go with the create an association, and I would like to go with the day VPC association, and as well as create an association, so which is going to be is prod VPC association. All right, so now you have a two route tables, by the way. So, and these route tables telling that, so this association I want to attach to this route table, these two associations I want to attach to this route table. Okay, that is also done. And what is the next thing is we need to add the routes, by the way. So we just did the association, by the way. So technically it requires an association. Technically it requires a route table. It's a route table, right? So it requires a route. So this side, I'm going to say that, so this side, I'm going to say that, you access the traffic through this association. This side, you access the traffic through these associations is what I'm going to tell. Okay, so that's where I will be coming to the VPC side and associations. Two associations is done. The routes, by the way. So now here I'm telling that, so you can go with 10.10.10.0.0 by 16. You reach it through this is a day one, so which way that's a day VPC. So create a static route. And whereas coming to the routes again, I'm just thinking whether I'm doing the right thing or it has to be vice versa. Yeah, so I think it's a vice versa, by the way. So this is not the right thing. So let me delete the route. So here, this is a VPC side, right? So the VPC side, what I'm going to do is create a static route. I'm going to say that, so you get everything. So 0.0.0 by 0, and you get it from NAT gateway VPC. So 00 means internet, you get it from that side, and is what you're telling. Maybe without this particular route also, I believe that let's give a small verification that, so I would like to go with this machine. So whether I'm still able to access this machine. So I'm still not able to access the machine. So that means the routes are still not actually accepting, because the route tables, which are, I think this is not the problem with the transit gateway. So here you're actually saying that you're going to say that the route tables, by the way. So there is a dev route table. This is the day VPC and the default route table. So there's a subnet association. Which one? Subnet association is already not done. Okay, so save associations. So the default route table. So here this is the one. So which is going to be the day VPC route table. So in this day VPC route table, the routes is very much limited to the only the VPC. So you're not actually allowing the outside traffic, coming in here. So that's where I'm going to say that, so I don't want to really limit that 192 series. I just, as a lab perspective, so I'll give everything. So I'm going to say that, you allow through transit gateway. Okay. So TGW is what you do. So this way you enable a route that your VPC, you enable a route that the traffic over here so can so the traffic over here can reach to here. Okay, so that is what the first thing we have done. Now let's go and try give a try here now. So still it is not done, so that's where the transit gateway also should be allowed over here. Let me complete the full configuration then in that particular case. Let me go to the transit gateway route tables. So here on the VPC side, you're telling that you should be getting accessing the things from the NAT gateway VPC, and also on the NAT gateway VPC. Also, I would like to go and add the traffic, and so here mm, associations routes by the way. So you have to create a route saying that so I would like to go with 10.0.0 by 16. So this should go to the day VPC. So that is what the one route I'm telling, and another route is here is so which is 10.20.0.0 by 16. So here I would like to go to the prod VPC. So now I enable the routes on the transit gateway side, but however, so who is trying to reach here? So I think over here, so there's a public subnet reaching to this guy. So that entries also is needed. So the route table of the public subnet, the route table of your public route table also require you have only internet and this connection. So I'll also tell that, hey, if someone asks you to reach you to 10.20 series 0.0 by 16, you go through transit gateway. So is what I'm going to tell now. And another range, someone asks you to reach 10.10 series also by 16, you reach to the transit gateway. So that's the information I'm giving. So the route side, every route has been placed. So now technically I should be able to so access this particular machine. There you go, you're able to access it, but you'll not get the internet because the internet you have not really shared by the way. Okay, you're not getting internet by the way. So in order to create an internet, so ultimately you require a NAT gateway. Okay, in order to share the so then share a single point of internet, so that's a NAT gateway concept. So that's where slight changes into the infrastructure comes into the picture, but until now this is the one. And so now what I'm going to do here is so here we're going to go with another one, so which is going to be a private subnet, so which I'm going to private subnet. So here the IP range, maybe I'll go with 128.0 by 25. All right, so here is a one, and and so let's try to create this. So that means I will just go here subnets. So create a subnet, so which I'm going to call it under NGW, and it's going to be private hyphen subnet, and maybe 1A, so which is 192.168.0.128 by 25. The remaining 128 IPs, I'm going to take it. So the same way I'll go with the route tables, create a route table, and this is going to be a private hyphen route table, and create the route table, and the VPC is NGW VPC. On the next thing, by the way, here the subnet associations, I would like to go with edit the associations. I would like to choose a private subnet, and I want to associate it. So ultimately it requires a NAT gateway. So let me go ahead and create a NAT gateway. For a NAT gateway to create it, I require an elastic IP address. So let me take an elastic IP address. So let me take one IP address, and so take the NAT gateway, and I will go with create NAT gateway. So you choose GW. So choose a subnet. Ultimately, I'm going to take the internet from the internet gateway. So I'm going to take that. So I'm to choose the IP address, and let's create a NAT gateway. So this takes just a couple of minutes to create it. So let's wait for this to happen. Maybe I'll go to the NAT gateway. It's still going on. So it came back to by the way. It is now available state by the way. So now I'll go to the route table. So in the private route table, so I'll go to the routes and add a route. So saying that so add a route, so which I would like to go with 000. So through NAT gateway. Okay, so gateway. Now the association, so I would not like to do that. So the previous, the subnet association we have done on the VPC side is to the public subnet. So where I would like to change that, and I want to put the private subnet, because the internet I want to share through the NAT gateway, right? Not through the internet gateway. So you cannot share the internet gateway's network. So that's where they modify the transit this one. And so maybe here I'll be choosing the public subnet. So because the other side, the route tables, if you see here, so the other VPC side you have seen here. So you're going to get the routes, by the way. So you're going to take 000 everything. So on the in NAT gateway VPC. So that's where, and the NAT gateway is on the private subnet side. So that's where the small modification I try to make it. So let the modification get completed, and I think we should be able to access the internet. Still under modifying. So here after quite some time, so it just became available. So now let's go with the verification that whether we are able to get the internet. So I think I might lost the connection because we tampered the configurations in between. So let me just make another connection. So and here I'll try to log into the machine. I'm able to log into the machine now. Ping google.com. So that's where I'm getting the internet. However, if I check the internet, like so where is the source of mine? So or what is my IP address? If config.me. So on this VPC, I'm getting the IP address, by the way. So that's a NAT gateway IP address only. So let's go and try to cross verify that. So the NAT gateway is using elastic IP address, and so it should be getting the, you see this is an IP address. So maybe I'll go with the other VPC. So I'll go with the launch instance to the other VPC. So community MIs. So dev hyphen DevOps hyphen practice. I would like to put it under prod VPC. So the prod VPC also should get the same same IP address, by the way. So let's try to wait for the instance to come up, and then let's proceed further. So the instance is into the running state. So maybe I'll just go back to sudo SSH. I'm just using sudo because just to avoid the password connection in between, or password prompt in between. So there is something wrong with the connection over here. So I think the something wrong is somewhere we didn't update the route tables, so for the prod properly, because we have been testing the day one. So I think the major one here, which is missing over here, is the prod one. So here is the prod VPC, the prod hyphen VPC. And to this, actually, I'm going to say that, so there is no subnets associated to this guy. So that's first I'll go with the subnet association and edit subnet association. So there is one subnet. So first of all, I want to associate to the subnet to this particular route table. That's the first thing. And other thing is there's only one entry, by the way. So the other entry is like any other traffic for this guy. Maybe 000 is not a great idea, but yeah. So I just, for time being, this is okay. So I'm going to say that it has to go through transit gateway. Okay. So we just go with the save changes. Okay. And now I should be able to make a connection to this guy. It's still not working, so somewhere it's working. So connection refused is a good message. Now call if config.code. So this is also the same IP address I'm getting. So I'll be going with elastic IP address. You search for that and you're still getting the same IP address. So that's where you will be, you are actually, so sharing the traffic of one NAT gateway, or, one VPC's NAT gateway to multiple VPCs, and you'll be able to do that. So this brings a control in case like you want to control the internet and you want to block some traffic kind of thing. So maybe that is possible. You can simulate the NAT gateway so with your own software, and you can replace this NAT gateway with the same configuration with that particular devices, and it should start working. Okay, so that's the overall idea of this particular approach. And so this complete setup, if you want to do a practical, maybe just to avoid all these particular manual steps, so there's a small Terraform piece of code which I have written, so maybe I'll attach that to the description. So just go ahead and run that. So ultimately you should be able to so get all these particular setup just coming in once with single command of Terraform. So I think we have been assured what we are actually trying to do. And so let's conclude this particular video. Thank you once again. So for watching this particular video, please subscribe and share this particular video. Thank you. See you in the next video.